What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to teach you how to set up your boat for wake surfing. I'm going to pretty much run you through how to set up any boat for wake surfing. It doesn't matter what kind of boat, as long as it's an inboard boat, from a budget sort of older ski boat all the way up to the most modern, most expensive wake boat. So stay tuned depending on whatever kind of boat you have, and yeah, we'll get it good for you. And I'm going to remind you one last time that this is for inboard boats only. I definitely don't recommend wake surfing behind any other type of boat besides an inboard boat, because if you are trying to wake surf behind a different type of boat than an inboard, you are at risk of sort of chopping yourself up. So keep that in mind. If you do try this behind a boat that's not an inboard and you lose your arm or your fingers or your face or something like that, that's your fault, not mine. So try and make sure that you're only wake surfing behind inboard boats. The first boat I'm going to be going over today is my personal boat. This is a Centurion RI 230. Centurion offers the RI line, a 230 size, a 245, and a 265. So that's 23 foot, 24.5 feet, and 26.5 feet. And these three boats are pretty much the best wake surfing boats on the market. If you feel like disagreeing with me and you want to get mad about it, feel free to do that in the comments. That would be great to talk about that with you. Anyways, let's hop in the boat now, and I'll just kind of show you guys how I set this boat up for myself. Since I am only an average wake surfer, I'm not a professional or anything like that. My level is somewhere around doing 360s and small airs. I've done an alley-oop a couple times in my lifetime, but that's about where I have maxed out in wake surfing. So setting this boat up for me is actually extremely simple. I actually go down here on the right screen of both screens. I'll press on the ballast page, and then there's this little profile guy up here. I already have it set up on Pro Surf Left, but basically I just click on this little guy right here. I click Pro Surf Left on the left tab where all of these tabs are, and I'll hit activate down here. It's already activated, so it's just showing me the option for deactivate right now, but pretty much I'll hit activate. All the ballast tanks will fill up exactly as needed to make my personal perfect wave for someone like me. And then once we're ready to go, we just push the throttle forward and it'll make a wave. If you're actually curious on the exact settings for the Pro Surf Left on my boat, here is all of the ballast tanks on the screen right now if you want to screenshot that. And also I'll click on the wave page, which will show where all the tabs are for me. So if you want to screenshot those pages and set your boat exactly the same as mine to get this same wave, feel free to do that. I think most of the modern wake surf boat manufacturers have sort of their own simple way to set up on their dash as well as this boat. This is just the Centurion way that I personally set it up, and I personally think that this is the best boat out of the box for wake surfing, with over 5,400 pounds of stock ballast. I think that's the most out of any 23-foot boat in the industry. So the wave is definitely the dopest on this boat stock. Also, I didn't show you guys earlier what speed Pro Surf Left sets you up at. It sets you up at 11.2 miles per hour. That's the speed I actually prefer. So whatever speed you guys want, you can actually bump it up or down depending on whatever you like. So let's hop behind the boat now, and we'll just show you guys what a modern wake surf boat like this one wave looks like with stock ballast. Currently, the depth of this lake right here is about 11 or 12 feet deep. So this wave isn't actually as big as it possibly could be. I think 14 plus is kind of what you need to get it as big as you possibly can. All right, here is stock ballast behind the Centurion RI 230. So that's kind of what a modern wake surf boat wave looks like. It's nice and long, it's tall, has a little bit of barrel in the back. It's also extremely adjustable. If you want to take that center tab and put it down slightly or a little bit more, you can make the wave even longer but more mellow. And the higher you lift that center tab, you can make it steeper and more like burly for more of like a surf style, and the mellow one is more of for like a skim style. So on a new school boat like this, the wave is super dope. It's extremely adjustable and it's easy to adjust. It's also easy to set up. It's just the press of a button. So that's what's really awesome about having a more modern new boat. It's just ease of use and saves you a lot of time. I am going to talk about older boats here in a second, so just stay tuned. But first, I kind of want to just show you how to make a more modern boat even better than just stock ballast. Sometimes I do end up surfing with pro level wake surfers. I've surfed with Dylan Ayala, Jake Breedlove, Raleigh Hager, Ashley Kidd. There's a whole kind of squad of them that I've surfed with, and they don't necessarily just run their boat stock, and we won't necessarily just run this boat stock for them either. Sometimes they want a bit more of a push behind the wave. They want it a little bit bigger, and honestly, to make that happen, there is no replacement for displacement. I'm actually not a huge believer in having a whole bunch of lead in the boat. Some of the surfers that I'll surf with on their boats, they use a lot of lead, but whenever someone comes out on mine, I personally just add a really big fat sack. So what I actually do for more of a pro level wake surfer, I'll hop over here on my ballast page right there, and you see how not all of these are exactly full for the Pro Surf Left setting. I'll actually come over here and I'll fill them all up completely to the top. So I'll click on each tank and then just press fill and let them all fill so that this boat isn't listing at all. And what I do next is I actually just grab this seat here and I'll slide it forward one notch, let it click in there, and then I'll grab a big square sack and I'll set it right there in the corner. So now we have this fat sack. It's all filled up. I'm not sure exactly how much it weighs, but it looks like it weighs the weight of at least like 4 people or so. If you have a ton of people in the boat, this isn't really 100% necessary, but I don't really have a whole ton of friends, so this is a nice replacement. So what I basically did for this setup is I filled up all of the weight in the boat and have it perfectly balanced but as heavy as I possibly can with the stock ballast, and then I added the extra weight just to make the boat list a little bit and get a little bit heavier in the rear. And don't think that this boat is too heavily rear weighted or anything like that, because before, whenever I was in the Pro Surf setting, the front tanks weren't actually full, so those ones sort of filled up, and I also added this as well, so the boat is still pretty balanced for wake surfing. Also, I am regular, so I have been showing you everything on this side of the boat. If you are goofy, you can just apply the same exact concept, just move this bag to that side, and whenever you do the Pro Surf setting, you can do Pro Surf right instead of Pro Surf left. And I actually think the goofy wave on this boat is a little bit better than the regular wave, but I'm just showing you guys the regular side because I'm regular myself. Anyways, let's show you the more of a pro level surf wave behind this Centurion RI 230 stock ballast plus this little bit of extra. All right, she is looking nice and burly. That's more of like the pro level wave for you guys. So that was more of a pro level wake surf wave. It was super dope, but now I'm gonna kind of show you guys how to weigh your boat so that you can wake surf behind an older style boat without any devices, without any tabs, or without any sort of bolt-on accessories to help your wave out, just fat sacks only. So the way to weigh your boat with fat sacks only, without any other accessories like suction cup gates or any sort of tabs or anything like that, is actually to heavily list your boat. And what I did here was actually keep this big fat sack here, and I actually added another one as well. If you have like 12 or 13 friends, that would be awesome, but I don't. So you can actually stack up a bunch of people on one side of the boat to actually get your boat to list like this. I don't personally have an older boat, so I can't really show you this on an older boat like that, but I can basically just turn all of the tabs off on this boat and sort of replicate it as best as I possibly can. You can see right here that this side of the boat is much lower and in the water than this side. The platform is actually out of the water on that side, while this one is completely submerged. The downside to doing it this way is that it's not actually very safe, because the edge of your boat that is weighed down heavily is actually very low to the water, and if there is someone else wake surfing on your lake, or there's a yacht or something like that that makes a big wave, the wave can actually come up and over the side of your boat, and it is possible to actually sink your boat surfing this way. You probably won't sink it, but it is possible. There are a few more downsides to listing your boat this way to making your wake surf wave good. One is that these fat sacks actually take up a ton of room. You could use lead instead to take up less room, and if you wanted to replace these fat sacks, you would actually need a ton of people to actually make your boat lean over this much. And the last kind of downside to listing your boat like this is that your engine will actually sort of be leaning over as well, which sort of forces all of the oil in your oil pan over into the corner there. And it is possible that not all of the bearings and things like that inside of your engine get lubricated, and it is possible to cause damage. There actually is one solid positive thing about listing your boat like this, is that since there are no tabs sort of pushing down underneath the boat, the water does sort of flow more smoothly underneath the hull of your boat, and you won't really get any of those kind of lines on the wave, and you'll almost have more smooth of a wave than you would if you were actually deploying all of those tabs on any of the manufacturer's boats. I'm sure you're probably sick of me talking about this, so let's just show you how the wave looks. All right, this is what the wave looks like with no tabs deployed. It's a pretty solid wave. There is a lot of weight in the boat. You can also notice how smooth it is. There's no real lines in the wave. It's actually pretty great and pretty solid. And as you can see, the wave was pretty dope whenever you actually set up the boat like this. One thing to sort of keep in mind, if you do weigh the boat sort of too heavily just in the back rear corner, sometimes the wave can get almost too steep and not very long. So my suggestion, if you are going to weigh your boat like this, kind of sort of evenly distribute the weight all the way up towards the nose of the boat. You don't need to have it list too much, but have it list quite a lot, but try and make it more even towards the nose, just a little bit less weight in the nose, a little bit more in the rear, to try and build more of a long, like nice wake surf wave. Keep in mind, weighing your boat like this won't necessarily work in every single boat. My dad actually has an old school X-Star, and if you try and make a wake surf wave on the starboard side of the boat, it just doesn't really work due to the prop rotation and actually the shape of the older X-Star hull. It just can't really surf on that side very well. So something to kind of make up for this, if this isn't possible, you can actually add sort of suction cup tabs to the side of your boat. And the last way I'm going to teach you sort of how to weigh your boat for wake surfing is by using suction gates. You can buy these on all sorts of water sports stores. Fat Sack makes one. I think that's sort of the most common one. This one I have right here is called a Nauticurl, and there's even ones that sort of like Velcro to the side of your boat, and I've seen people home make them as well. They all work really great. They all kind of have the same concept. It's basically just a wedge that suction cups to the side of your boat. So basically what you do to use something like this is you weigh your boat pretty heavily. Today I'm going to use just stock ballast in this boat because that is over 5,400 pounds of weight, which is higher than any other boat of this size on the market. And we're going to use no tabs underneath the boat to simulate sort of an older style boat that doesn't actually have those. And we're going to suction cup this thing to the opposite side of the wave I'll be surfing on, and this will sort of force your boat to kind of crab on the water and force your boat into slightly listing to make that perfect surf wave over here. Keep in mind, your wave will vary wherever you suction cup this thing to your boat. Depending on what kind of boat you have, you can move this thing into all sorts of different places on the side of your boat to kind of test it out. I've even seen some people suction cup 2 of these to the same side of the boat to make the wave even better. So I'm going to kind of put this wherever is best on this boat, but it could be completely different on yours. Also, if you have an older boat like my dad, he has the X-Star, and I said it won't surf on both sides. If you get something like this, it should surf on both sides. I haven't seen one of these really fail. Okay, so this is going to be the very first attempt with the suction gate right here. I actually suctioned it just below the water line as far back as I possibly can go on this boat, so we'll see if it works pretty good. I'm pretty sure it will, but yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so this is the suction gate as far back as possible with stock ballast full, and the wave looks pretty great, not gonna lie. So as you can see, the suction gate down there, it worked really well. It was the very first time I ever suctioned it to the boat, and it was the guess of where I thought it should have been positioned, and it ended up working out first try. Also, listing the boat heavily worked out really well as well. It was a ton of weight, but it did work very good. Also, the stock tabs on this boat work great, amazing. I mean, this is probably the best stock wake surf wave on the market, as well as adding that extra weight on top of the stock with the standard tabs this boat comes with. The wave was absolutely excellent. So yeah, pretty much all of these options work very, very good. Keep in mind, the hull of this boat was specifically designed for wake surfing, so all of these options on this boat were extremely easy for me to set up. If you do have an older boat or something like that, it may be a little bit more difficult, but take your time, try different amounts of weight in the boat, different placements where you put the weight in the boat, different placements of the suction gate, adding aftermarket tabs, all sorts of different things you can do to older boats. You will be able to make a wake surf wave as long as the boat is an inboard. If you do have the budget for a boat like this one, I highly recommend the ease of use for making the wave on that side great. It is very, very easy. The ease of use of making this wave great is very, very easy. You can be surfing this wave, change sides, do a transfer over. All of these things are very easy. Making the wave more mellow, more steep is all at the click of a button right there at your fingertips. If you want your wife to drive for you, your kids to drive for you, your husband to drive for you, anyone to drive for you, this boat is insanely easy to use and will make your time on the water a lot better. You have the best perfect passage, GPS controlled. It is always on perfect speed. Your kid won't be yelling at you. You won't be yelling at your wife won't be yelling at you. It will overall be a better time on the water because of the ease of use. Also, the RI series is not only super easy to use, but in my personal opinion, these boats are the very best wake surf boats on the market. So if you have the budget, go for it. It'll be awesome. But if you don't have the budget, there are tons of used boats on the market as well. They might not be able to surf great out of the box, but with a little time and a little bit of, you know, effort and making everything exactly perfect and fine tuning your wave, you can have an awesome wave on that boat as well. It just won't necessarily be as easy to use, but it's always great to be out on the water and surfing behind your boat, or wakeboarding, or water skiing, or doing any sort of fun lake time on the lake. It's always a better day than just being at work, grinding, trying to make money. Whether you have the budget for this boat or not, end up on any boat and get yourself out on the water, have a great time, because these are some of the best times of my life, having fun on the lake with my family and friends. That's pretty much gonna be it for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure you give me a thumbs up, comment below what kind of videos you guys wanna see next, and remember, I'll be uploading a water sports video every second day forever, so make sure you guys subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace!